If you've ever explored Japan's most demanding spiritual traditions, you've probably heard of them, the Medicine Monks of Mount Hiei. It's an unforgettable name. It immediately evokes images of extraordinary endurance, relentless determination, and human beings pushing themselves beyond ordinary limits. Over the course of 1,000 days, these Tendai Buddhist ascetics walk a total distance roughly equivalent to circling the globe. So calling them marathon marks seems perfectly reasonable. And yet, if you had used that expression in medieval Japan, people would probably have looked at you in puzzlement. Because the true purpose of this practice was never physical endurance. The modern nickname tells us less about the monks than it does about the way we see them today. Today, the Sennichi Kaihōgyō, the 1,000-day circumambulation, is often celebrated as one of the world's greatest feats of endurance. Books, documentaries, and news reports naturally focus on the unimaginable physical challenge. But that was never the point. Centuries ago, during the flourishing of Shugendō, people never asked, how many miles did he walk? Or, how many mountains did he climb? Instead, they asked one simple question. Do his prayers work? A monk was respected not because he endured hardship, but because his training transformed him into someone capable of helping others. The mountains were never an athletic arena. They were a place of transformation. People sought out these practitioners to pray for healing, rain during droughts, protection from disasters, and comfort during times of suffering. Think of a surgeon. You don't choose a surgeon because they survived medical school. You choose them because they can heal. Likewise, mountain training was never the destination. It was only the preparation. The real work began after the practitioner returned to society. So, what's changed? Modern society no longer looks to monks to cure illness or bring rain. Science and medicine have taken on those roles. As belief in supernatural powers declined, public attention gradually shifted. The training itself became the story. Its physical hardship became the achievement. This is why Western writers introduced the expression marathon monk. It was a sincere attempt to translate an ancient Buddhist practice into a modern image everyone could understand. After all, the marathon has become one of humanity's universal symbols of endurance and determination. But something essential disappeared in that translation. A marathon runner trains to reach a finish line. A Buddhist ascetic trains to begin a lifetime of compassionate service. One finishes the race. The other begins a lifelong responsibility. This reminds me of a personal experience. During the years I lived at Endakuji Temple as a disciple of the late Sakai Yusai Dai-Ajari, who completed the 1,000-day circumambulation twice. One day, I showed him an English book titled The Marathon Monks of Mount Hiei. Hey, take a look at this photo. It shows me and the younger brother of Sakai Yusai Dai-Ajari. In this photo, you can see the book with the red cover that I'm holding, right? This book is John Stevens' work, The Marathon Monks of Mount Hiei. On that day, I showed this book to Sakai Yusai Dai-Ajari. He looked quietly at the cover. For just a moment, I noticed a faint expression of discomfort. He wasn't offended. He didn't criticize the author, nor did he deny the unimaginable physical hardship of the Kaihōgyō. Instead, he gently explained something much deeper. Completing the practice is not the goal. It's only the beginning. The practice exists for jiririta. Jiririta, one of the central ideals of Mahayana Buddhism. It teaches that genuine spiritual practice is never for oneself alone. By cultivating wisdom and compassion, we gradually transform ourselves. That inner transformation naturally benefits others. At the same time, serving others deepens our own awakening. Self-cultivation and compassionate service are not two separate paths. They are one and the same. Then, looking once again at the book cover, he quietly said, "It may look like a marathon from the outside, but its purpose is entirely different." His own life embodied those words. After completing the 1,000-day circumambulation once, many believed he had reached the summit of spiritual achievement. Instead, he chose to undertake the entire 1,000-day practice a second time. From the perspective of sport, that decision makes little sense. Athletes strive to reach their peak, receive recognition, and eventually retire. But Sakai Dai-Ajari understood the practice differently. Completing it did not earn him a trophy. It entrusted him with a greater responsibility to serve others. The end of the journey was simply the beginning of a life dedicated to compassion. The expression marathon monk is not wrong. It captures the extraordinary physical demands of the Kaihōgyō remarkably well. But it tells you only part of the story. A marathon has a finish line. The Buddhist path does not. There is no final victory, no retirement from compassion, no moment when one can finally say, I have arrived. The Kaihōgyō was never intended to produce extraordinary athletes. It was meant to cultivate extraordinary compassion. In Mahayana Buddhism, this spirit is called jiririta, awakening oneself while living for the awakening and the well-being of others. The mountain paths have not changed. The roads have not changed. The hardships have not changed. Only one thing has changed: the eyes with which we look at them.